Hello everybody, welcome to the Options 101 presented by Dopex. And my name is Richard, I work as Dev Relations in Dopex. And today I'll be talking about options and I'm going to teach you about options, some strategies and what Dopex offers in terms of in the options field. And hopefully you guys get to leave with more IQ than you came in. So we have like a textbook definition over here, but honestly, I don't think degens care about the textbook definition. So I'll help you decipher the meaning of options from the words itself. So we have options. Well, another way you can say it like a choice, or you can also say right. Well, right to what? Well, since we're in the context of whole crypto and Web3, let's say it's a right to sell or buy a token. And obviously when it comes to buying or selling, we're going to talk about the price. So yeah, options have a price, a strike price which we call it. And one thing we can't decipher from the name options itself is the expiry, which is when you can sell it. I have a short story for you guys to understand options better. We have a farmer whose name is Mario. He grows potatoes and he really values them. Over here I have 3 images showing you the prices at which Mario sells his potatoes. And if you see from left to right, if he manages to sell at 500, he has lesser food or almost no food. And it keeps increasing, the plate gets more food in it as we go towards the right. Okay, I got a mic. So yeah, Mario has a friend whose name is Notoro. Notoro offers a service where, as you can see in his catalogs, he's offering to, let's assume that the price of potatoes, for 1 ton of potatoes is like $2,000. And here Notoro, he offers Mario to that if the price of potatoes go below $1,000, he's ready to buy them at $1,000. But in return, Mario has to pay Notoro $50 for that. And you can see at the end, the last column, that's where it says month end. That's the only like how long he can actually use this service for. You can see that the price increases as the price of the premium. The price at how much Mario has to pay increases by when it's 1,500. Now you'd be surprised, but we came across some really important variables when it comes to options, and that is, so the price that Mario pays Notoro is which is the $500 over here, and that's what you call the premium, or the cost of buying the option. Next, what we have is the amount, 1 ton of potatoes, which is what we're going to call the underlying. And it's a really important thing to understand what underlying is on what options. And we have the strike price. The strike price, you can think of it as a trigger price. So it's where you can actually exercise the options or make use of the options, basically. And then we have the expiry, which is the month end, when it can be executed. We have different kinds of options. There are different, there are actually 2 types of options, which are American and European. And this workshop will only talk about European options. The only difference between them 2 is that American options can be exercised anytime. You can have the right to sell the underlying of the option at any time before the actual expiry. While European options, you can only exercise them or sell them at the time of expiry. Now under options, we have 2 types, 2 sides. One's a put and one's a call. First we're going to talk about a long put. Now we say long put because long is like, you can think of it as the sentiment you have for the underlying. Say if you buy ETH and normally you would expect the price to go up. So that's where you said you are longing for ETH. And when you buy a long put option, that's when you mean you are trying to hedge against hedge against like any losses you'd face against the price of the ETH you bought. Then that's what you call you've bought and long put option. You have the sentiment of holding the asset, but then you buy a put to hedge or protect any losses in case the price goes below the price you bought ETH at. And then we have long call options. Once again, long, your sentiment is that you want the price of an asset to go up. When you buy call options, what you're basically doing is like I said, you get a call option with a strike price, and the strike price acts as a trigger price. So if you assume asset is $1,000 and the option you buy has a strike price of $1,200, any amount, any difference between like when the price goes up above 1,200 and the difference between the 1,200 and the price which is above 1,200, that difference is what you manage to make as a profit. And that's when you are said to be buying long call options. Now we have short options. Now obviously, like Nutoro Insure, Nutoro has to be, someone has to supply options. If there is no supply of options, obviously there's no one to buy, there's no options to buy. So you're saying when you are shorting options, that also comes in two forms, which is calls and puts. This is where you are providing collateral. Either it can be the underlying or it can be the stables itself. You're basically selling options, and your incentive is that you will pay the premium. Like Mario paid $500 to buy put options against his potatoes, for his potatoes. In the example, he was basically buying long call options. So you might be wondering why, the first question that might come to your mind is like, why would someone write options? Why would someone why would you hold up collateral, or why would you let people buy options? Well, you see a lot of traders, it really depends on the traders. A lot of traders come in the market with different sentiment. Mario could be someone who really loves his potatoes and really values potatoes, probably because, he can grow it in Mars. And then you have Nutoro Insure, who has a different sentiment. He believes that the prices of potatoes won't go down. He thinks that maybe, McDonald's is planning to make bigger fries, so he really values potatoes. And the other side, Mario has a different opinion. Now, Dopex is a decentralized options exchange. We established last year, and our main focus is in providing minimum losses to option liquidity providers and providing competitive prices for options itself. The main advantage between a centralized options platform or a decentralized options platform is obviously that you get the freedom on chain. And it's not like you have to sign up, or even, although we've seen the recent events of the kind of issues that has been happening with certain sexes. So yeah, this is the freedom that on-chain decentralization provides us with. The products I will be talking about is SSO V3, which is like the most basic option market we provide. And what we provide are call and put options. Then I'm going to be talking about straddles. This is an option trading strategy. And below that, I have Atlantic options with insured perp strat, which is a very long awaited one. And the last we have TZ swap. That honestly has nothing to do with options, but is a really useful tool. So let's talk about SSOVs. So like I said, an options will have two sides, which is long or put, and on top of that, the other two sides are option buyers or option writers. So the first point I am showing you is writing covered call options. Uh, it's called covered calls because it's where you deposit underlying, and there's a meaning behind that. And when you buy covered calls, like we came across the meaning where you buy an underlying at a certain strike, and SSOVs are cash settled and similar to puts, but the only difference in puts, writing in puts, is that you have to deposit stables. So this is about buying calls. We are assuming we're talking about ETH at the price of 1,200, very realistic. And then we are going to also talk about the an option of strike 1,300, and we're assuming that we're buying 10 of it. And then the next we're assuming is that the premium, the cost to pay is 50, and the total comes up to $500. So which is 50 into 10, the amount of options. And below that I have a table where it shows you the value of underlying, the spot price, and the P&L. Now remember that I said the strike price is 1,200. Yeah. As you can see, it's like as if you, like I said, it's the right to buy or sell the underlying at a certain strike price. If you can see, I have mentioned that at the time of purchase, it's 500 at the spot price, which is 1,200. That's when you bought it, but you have a strike of 1,200. You can see that your P&L is instantly minus $500, and that's because that's where you're considering your premiums. You consider it as a loss, but as you can see, as the price goes up, the P&L increases and it becomes positive. Then you have writing covered calls. That's where you deposit underlying. And similar, likewise, what I'm showing here is that how the value of your deposit changes as the prices move up. Now, obviously, as when you write call options, you are not expecting the price to go up. If the price goes up, that's when you start facing losses. So if you see the P&L at the time of depositing, it's $500. That's when we're just assuming that the options have been bought and we got the $500. And as the prices move up, we see that as the prices move up, you can see that he starts facing a loss. That's when this loss is basically paid to the option buyers who pay the $500 premium. Here I have a conversation between a writer. You remember we talked about Mario and Nutoro. So Mario, he says he has the right, and he has the right to exchange, to buy ETH for $1,300. He likes it, but he has to pay a premium. And Nutoro comes into an agreement that he's selling the buyer the right to buy ETH at $1,300 exchange for a good premium. Now we come down to puts. First we start with writing. This is where you deposit the stables. In SSOVs, we deposit stables for writing puts. We take a similar example, the spot price of 1,210 options. This time the strike is actually 1,100. And you can see in this table where we show the P&L. At the time of depositing, here what we have is at spot, he gets $500, which is the premium. And then as the price goes down, you can see that his P&L decreases. You can see that it's going more towards negative. Then we have buying puts. You normally buy puts to hedge against anything. Like say if you bought ETH, you might want to buy puts at like a really volatile times, to hedge any movements, downward movements, so that you don't face a loss against the ETH that you bought. Over here, I show that PNL, it says first it starts at minus 500 and then increases as the price goes down, because that's what you gain as put option buyers. I'm going to show a demo of SSOVs. So if you come on our app, this is what you'll see under the SSOV section. We provide options for both calls and puts. We can take, like we mentioned, the example ETH we have for monthly and weekly. And then we also have RDPX and CRV as well, and Geom as well. There's even GMX. So if I can go to one to show you how it really looks like. First you reach here, the right side is the writer side. This is where you can select the strike price to deposit into. And what you're depositing is ETH. You deposit ETH and you write options for ETH. If you deposit 10, that's basically as if you're writing 10 options of ETH. For the buyer's side, we have this modal over here, and this is where you can see about buying options. It's where you select the price. Over here you'll see an expiry. Now SSOVs, you might be wondering what the full form is, and that's single staking option vaults. It's where you like I said, when writers write options, they'll have to deposit tokens. These deposit tokens are incentivized. It's like as if they're basically staking. And this like helps reduce the losses that depositors and option writers face basically. I can show you put options for ETH weekly. It's the same thing, but the only difference is that for writing options, you deposit stables, and what we are using is 2 CRV. And then to purchase put options, it's similar to call options. One of the really most used option strategies are the Atlantic straddles on the Dopex platform. It's a neutral options trading strategy where you bet on volatility. Where the price goes, it doesn't really matter to you because you make profit whether the price goes up or down. What really matters is volatility. If there's no volatility, obviously you know there is no action on price. The most basic form of straddles you can make on any options platform is to basically buy one put and buy one call. But in Dopex, we sort of do it differently. It's where the option buyer only purchases puts, but the collateral from the put is used to make a counter-directional trade, which is, for example, if the user is buying puts and puts are backed by stables, the stables are borrowed by the option buyer to buy the underlying. And this way we have a bidirectional move advantage. Now, like I mentioned, the buyer's advantage is obviously volatility. Then it must mean the opposite for writers. The writers would hope that there isn't much volatility on that particular underlying they are writing options for. And over here I have a diagram which shows you, for example, you've bought at 1,200, and on the y-axis, on the x-axis is what we have the current price of the underlying, which is ETH, and on the left side we have the P&L, how much profit or loss you'd make. There's this gap between, which is basically the gap is minus 85, and that's because the premium comes up almost to 85. But as you can see, as the price goes lower, your PNL also increases. Similarly, as the price goes higher, your PNL also increases. Here I have a diagram of cute Mario explaining what it's like to trade straddles. You can see that with 0% change in this thing, in ETH is basically very not really favorable for him, but with some volatility, he likes it. So this, you're probably wondering what are Atlantic options? These are options of which the collateral is mobile. It's used more efficiently. For example, like I mentioned, the borrowing, where you buy in straddles, where you borrow the put option collateral to buy the underlying. The way we have used it so far, although we have a lot of ideas and strategies to use collateral from options, so far we've only applied to liquidation protection and counter-directional trade, which is basically straddles. Next we have is insured long futures and perpetuals. To open a long position, or like I mentioned in the earlier slides, to be long means to be expect the price to go up, price of an asset to go up. But we have a financial instrument called futures or perpetuals, where you can borrow assets. We can borrow more money to buy the same asset and gain a higher profit off of it. This is an example of one of the long positions on our currently on our Atlantic's insured strategy page. As you can see, there's an entry price of 1.2K. It's very recent, and the balance of about 10 billion with a leverage of 7x. Leverage of 7x basically means you've borrowed 7 times the amount you've initially put in. If I'm set to open a long position with $100, that I would call that my initial collateral. And if I choose a leverage of 7x, that would mean that I have borrowed $600 more. Now, obviously, when you get to borrow money and make more profit off of it, you also come with a liquidation price. And liquidation price is basically a point at which when the price of the asset goes low enough to such that the loss of your whole position size is same as the initial collateral. I mean, beyond that point, your position is basically liquidated, and the $100 goes to the people you borrowed from. Now, I have an example for you. Likewise, we're going to talk about ETH, which is a 1,200, and the leverage. We're using a really high leverage, so not financial advice. And an initial collateral of 1,200, and the side is obviously long. You expect the price to go higher, and I have calculated the liquidation price and typed it out for you out here. I have 3 tables. The first one is the moment you create a position, this is what it's going to look like. So we have the collateral, $1,200. That's the money we started trading with, and we have position size, which comes from the initial money that you had to trade with times your leverage, and PNL is 0. And also have the borrowed amount, which is 1,200 minus 12,000. 10,800 minus 12,000, that's your borrowed money. And then you have the position value. So the first example I have here is 1,500. Also note that the current price is the entry price is 1,200, and we are long, so 1,500 means good for us. And you can see that the PNL has increased, and so is the position value. The PNL will be the amount of profit that the person who longed would get back. And then I have another example where I show that the price is $110, which is less than your entry price. As you can see, he also faces a loss in a position like that. Now this is where Atlantic options come in place. Like I said, the collateral from options can be borrowed. And what we're doing with the borrowed collateral is we're adding it to the position. When you add when you add collateral to your position such that you fill it up, uh, like I said, the leverage is basically the amount of money you borrow. But if you fill up that borrowed money with collateral, your leverage decreases, and it basically becomes 1x, like I show in this table. So yeah, the position size becomes $1,200. Sorry, $12,000, and the PNL. I've not really considered PNL over here, but the liquidation basically goes down, and this is obviously because you're not borrowing. You're basically not borrowing anything, and the loss is basically as if you had bought like how much ever ETH you had spent, how much ever money you had spent on buying the whole uh, asset. Then I have a diagram here which explains you how Atlantic put options will let you sleep better. Yeah, and that's what Dopex is about. I can show you the page for Atlantic options. We currently have testing going on, and most of our Dopex legends are testing it right now. I think I need to refresh the page because I know that price went below 1,200. We're deep down. Okay, so like similar to SSOVs on the right side, we have where you a dialog where you can deposit. This you don't get to. So the main difference between this and SSOVs is that in this you can deposit strikes of. It follows a whole different concept of max strikes. It's where you can deposit like, say if the current price is 1,188, a valid strike based on the tick size which is 25, so 1,175. So the next strike you can write as the one strike below like 25 difference. Sorry, 175 minus 25 would be 50. And likewise, you can keep going down. Those are how strikes are written. If you see over here, we have all the strikes that have been written. From the buyer side, you can open a long position through our UI as well. This is where you put in the initial collateral, how much money you actually want to long with, and this the bar you can use to leverage. I'm gonna let the details load. So yeah, what I get here is a put strike for my option. This put strike will act as a trigger. Beyond, if the price goes below this, the collateral from the put options will be added to your long position. And like I said, it would reduce your reduce your leverage such that your liquidation price is really low. And that should basically be it about Atlantic options, ensuring your long positions on GMX. I don't think I've showed the UI for straddles. So we are offering straddles for ETH, RDPX, and DPX itself. To show you, straddles are actually bought out really fast. As you can see in this epoch, all of the options have been bought, and the premium earned by the writers is $33,000. And similar to SSOVs and Atlantic options, in the right side is where you can deposit, and over here you get to deposit USDC. And to purchase, you have another tab over here, and this is similar to the diagram I had shown in the previous slides. The next product I'm going to talk about is TZ WAP. As the name suggests, just cut out the TZ. That's when it's basically short form of time weighted average pricing. It's where you you have this really amazing tool where you can buy certain tokens or swap certain tokens or sell certain tokens in intervals. And the main advantage of this is to avoid any adverse market effects. I can pull up the UI. And that didn't work because it was using a different link. Anyways. So this is the UI for TZWAP. The token that you want to swap from is the top side, and the token you want to swap to is on the bottom side. So if I want to sell ETH, I'd be selling it this way by entering how much ETH I want to sell. And the batch size, the percentage of batch size at the interval of hours or minutes. And I can specify the minutes at which I can sell. All contracts are integration friendly. We have certain partners that use our contracts, specifically the SSOVs and even the insured longs, the long positions which you can insure using options. We have partnered with GMX. GMX provides a platform for trading futures or swapping. While we are as for SSOVs, there is a protocol called Jones DAO, and you have to accept. Oops. They did really expect me to read that. In Jones DAO, they have like certain vaults which make use of the SSOVs. Say if you're not into trading options yourself, and you want to be involved in the protocol, that's when you can come to a place like Jones DAO, where they use certain option trading strategies to make money. Say you don't want to even deposit your tokens in some vaults where it trades for you. For example, we also have a VDPX. We also have VDPX where you can lock your tokens and in return you earn fees. The circulating supply for DPX is 150K. So far we have 51K DPX locked. We can also see that the average time is 3.11 years. If you don't want to lock your DPX for a long time, we also have farms. The farms are only for DPX and the DPX with pair, which you provide on SushiSwap, and also RDPX with pair. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is how we expect you to join our Discord. There's a lot of discussions. Very smart people talk about option trading strategies and various kinds of things, not just options. It doesn't matter if you know options or not. There are a lot of people there to help you. And you can also follow our Twitter. And below are 3 contacts. I'm providing a contact for a dev, a biz dev, and product manager. So yeah, if you guys have any queries or doubts, we have a booth inside, and if you want to ask it, if you don't want to stand up and ask, I'll be here after this session. Thank you.